Episode 6. And the show just went from a political thriller to something I don't even have a genre for anymore. We've got a man who killed his best friend over a woman who doesn't even know he exists. We've got prophecy emails from the future landing in 1997. We've got a baby girl who everyone already decided was a monster before she could even walk. And we've got Xavier, our guy, nearly getting blown up by the one person he thought he could trust. This episode is called Jane. And by the time we're done here, you're going to understand exactly why. Let's get into it. So to understand everything that goes down in this episode, we need to quickly rewind to what we learned last week about Gary. Gary is a mailman from Atlanta. Normal job, normal life, except Gary had been secretly planning for the end of the world alongside his engineer friend Ennis. They built out a fallout shelter, stocked it up, and handpicked a small group of people with useful skills. A carpenter, a mechanic, a gardener, a survivalist, a nurse. 7 people total, the exact number their supplies could support. But when the apocalypse actually hit and they were running to that shelter, they picked up 2 extras, a kid named Bean and a woman named Terry. And Terry, as it turns out, is Xavier's wife. Ennis wasn't thrilled. Extra people, limited resources, that's just math. But Gary had already fallen for Terry. Hard. So when a passing convoy came through Atlanta and Ennis floated the idea of sending Terry with them to Colorado, getting her out of their shelter, out of their lives, Gary made a decision. He killed Ennis. And then he told Xavier that Terry had been taken by the convoy against her will. He sent the man on a rescue mission to go find his own wife, while Gary sat back knowing exactly where she was the whole time. That is the setup going into this episode. Xavier has a plan. He's going to infiltrate the convoy camp, plant a bomb as a distraction, and get Terry out. And he needs Gary to be his lookout while he does it. What makes this scene genuinely painful to watch is what happens right before Xavier goes in. He pulls Gary aside and says, "Look, if I don't make it out of this, make sure Terry gets this message from me." He hands over something personal, something vulnerable. Xavier is putting his absolute full trust in this man, and Gary detonates the bomb early. Xavier barely gets out alive. He's now out in the open with armed guards closing in. The entire plan falls apart in seconds, and it was not an accident. Gary did that deliberately. He doesn't want Xavier to succeed. He doesn't want Xavier to get Terry back, because if Xavier gets Terry back, Gary loses her forever. This is the moment the show makes Gary's true nature completely undeniable. He is not just a flawed guy who made one bad call under pressure. He is actively trying to get Xavier killed. The mask is fully off now. Meanwhile, inside Paradise, things are just as bad, just in a completely different way. Robinson has been framed for the assassination and thrown into the underground prison. He's locked up down there with Jeremy, Anders, and the rest of the protesters. The people who were supposed to be the conscience of the bunker, the opposition, the ones asking the hard questions, every single one of them is now in a cell. And who made that happen? Jane. She set Robinson up, she executed the frame perfectly, and now Sinatra is back in power with Jane operating right behind him, pulling strings from the shadows. Gabriella is still free, and she is doing the most important work she can right now, going through Sinatra's files, digging for anything that mentions the name Alex. She hasn't cracked it open yet, but she is getting closer with every scene. And the clock is ticking on how long she stays under the radar before someone notices. Now, the biggest moment of this entire episode, and it hits right at the top in the cold open. We are taken all the way back to 1997. A guy working at a computer repair shop starts receiving messages. Not one, multiple messages across multiple platforms, all saying the exact same thing. A girl is going to be born on June 6th at 12:01 in the morning. She will grow up to be a killer. She can be stopped, but only if a message reaches her in time. The messages are signed by Alex. We don't get every answer right here in this episode. What we do get is the consequence, because somehow word of this prophecy reaches Jane's own mother. And her mother believes it. And that is where Jane's tragedy starts. From the moment she comes into the world, her own mother looks at her like she is something to be feared. Not a baby, a threat, a problem. And you watch this little girl grow up carrying that weight. She hears voices, she acts on impulses she can't explain, she eventually ends up in spy training, and the darkness that was planted in her by her own mother's fear just keeps growing. The episode is sitting with a really uncomfortable question the whole time. Was Jane always going to become what she became? Or did everyone around her treating her like a monster actually make her one? Because the prophecy says she is a killer, but it also says she can be stopped. So somewhere along the way, someone failed her. That question doesn't get a clean answer in this episode, but it hangs over every single scene with her, and that is Paradise Season 2, Episode 6, completely broken down. Gary revealed as the villain of the outside storyline, Xavier fighting for his life, Robinson locked away, and Jane's entire origin laid out in a 1990s flashback that somehow turned a trained assassin into the most tragic character in the show. This episode did a lot of heavy lifting, and it did it clean. Drop your reaction in the comments. I want to know what moment hit you hardest. For me, it was Gary blowing that bomb. That was genuinely cold. And that's it from me. If you liked this video, subscribe to ShowSlab, new reviews dropping every week. Comment below what you want reviewed next. Peace.